Can everyone see that well? Yes. All right, awesome. Today we're going to be talking about faith in the kitchen as purity starts within. One of the scriptures today we all talked about was 1 Peter 1:7 and how literally fire or trials and tribulation put us through the test and it purifies us, makes us better, makes us stronger, right? So our session goals for today is going to be connecting your faith, health, wellness journeys, if that's what you desire, all together. How important it is to be mindful of your nutrition, as it is literally a true test of self-care as well as in faith. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about my products and services and how they can help you along with your nutrition journey at the same time. Does that sound all right with everyone? Yes. Awesome. So really quick, just to tell you a little bit about who I am not only a nutritionist, I also am a celebrity chef, I am a health, wellness, and motivational speaker, a faith-based solo traveler, and I just became my first-time author. Thank you. So as we go through the slides, you'll notice there's some information, phone number, email, website that's there, but there's also a code on the side. You'll find them randomly throughout the slide just so you can be able to scan them with your phones and tap in with me on your own time and don't feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't have the time to connect with her before I left or she left, right? So this is a little bit of who I am. Visuals. So I am a mom of two amazing young men. I know I don't look like I have two grown boys, but I do. One is 19, who is Christopher, and then Xavier is 21. I also am a chef, like we talked about, so I've had the opportunity to work for people like Nick Cannon for his Nick Cannon Foundation, Chrisette Michelle at the TEDx Morris Brown, also teach in other countries, cook in other countries. I am a graduate of Belhaven University, which is a college for those who are faith-filled and believers. And then I also love to run, move my body, speak, and be within the community. That is my thing. That is who God created me to be. So when we go back and we look at 1 Peter 1:7, once again, I want to hone in on that one key part that Ms. Franklin right here had an opportunity to really hone in on, is that trials refine faith just as fire refines gold. That is another metaphor that I take for kitchen. You know, it is refining our fire when we're in the kitchen. We're an act of where the act of cooking becomes a practice of patience, mindfulness, and gratitude. If you really think about it, when you stop and look about our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers, they loved to cook. They love to feed their family. They love to be able to nourish you, to be able to send you out on your day to do whatever job you had to do, or if you were lucky enough to be able to get out there and go to school, like that was like inherent in us, right? We have lost that as our generations have gotten closer and closer. Well, I also want you to take a look at how it is stripping away the doubt of selfishness and fear and leaving behind a stronger but yet purest form of trust in God. That is our foundation. You have to shift the way that you think about food, how you nourish your body, and look at it in the way that God intended it to be, a way for you to be able to fuel your temple to uplift his glory. Yes. So that kind of reminds me of a little story really quickly. So you'll see me looking sad and pitiful in this picture. In 2023, I dropped my youngest son off to school for the very first time. And I had a great time with him, got on a plane, went home. And then I went to sleep and I woke up the next day and I was extremely dizzy. I had no clue what was going on with me, but I muscled my way to the restroom. And then I muscled my way back to the bed. My significant other asked me what was wrong and I was like, I don't know, I'm just dizzy, so I'm gonna just sleep it off. I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, same situation. Dizzy, used the restroom, went back to bed, and that was the end of it. After that third day, I was like, okay, enough is enough. I have to cook in a couple of days for the mayor in Atlanta for 350 people, and I cannot give these people back their check. So I decided to go to the emergency room. They run all these tests. They tell me, oh, I think you have vertigo. And then they're like, oh, I'm not really sure, so we're going to admit you. I'm sitting in for a couple of days, and now I'm like, okay, I have 2 days left. I've been there for 3 or 4 days already. Please let me out of here. Like, I have things to do. They run some more tests, and I wind up telling me to have something called vesicular neuritis. Now, I know that we're a room of believers, but I'm sure a couple of us have had a drink or two, and if you know what it feels like to be a little tipsy, that's what I call it, a glorified version of being tipsy. That sat with me for 9 months. 9 months. But before I got to the end of that 9 months, I had to sit and ask myself, God, why? What did I not listen to? What did I not do? What did I do wrong? You know, just give me a hint here, because I'm just like over this. This is too much. I can't work. I can't drive. I can't operate normal in life, and I'm an avid runner, and I can't run. This is crazy. It's got to stop. But then God told me to fall on your knees and pray. I fell on my knees and prayed, and God told me, get back to where you once were before. Just before I got sick, I wasn't paying as much attention to the way that I ate. I was not moving as much as I normally moved. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the reason why I fell sick with this illness, but it was a reminder of, if I fall on my knees and pray, if I make sure I eat properly, and if I make sure I move properly, then I'm gonna be okay. So although I'm walking on this crusty old walker and cane for months, I start paying attention to the way I ate. I started paying attention again to the way I moved as much as I could. And I made sure that I was staying in my word constantly. And with the help of amazing people in my corner, like my best friend who's here with me today, I was able to stay constant in that. So I got out of the hospital, I mustered up and was able to take this picture. My team was working hard and I was doing the best that I could as I sat down, but I made it through this journey. I got through church, and my amazing pastor, Prophet Luther McKinnis III, based out of Atlanta, Georgia, made sure he stayed in contact with me, prayed with me, walked me through everything that it was going through. And I was able to get up and start walking, moving, y'all, to the point that at the 8th month, I was in a state, because I had listened to what God asked me to do with my body, that I was able to, on July 4th, run my very first 10K in my entire life. Wow. Now, I made it through. I definitely passed that at the end. But I made it through because I was too busy listening to what it is that God asked me to do. So I say all that to say is that, again, trials refine just like fire purifies gold. So that means that you have to make sure that you're getting in the kitchen, and even though it may seem like a trial, it may seem daunting, I don't want to do this, but it serves a purpose. So I want you to reflect really quickly about a brief trial that you have had and how it has influenced your daily choices. You don't necessarily say anything, but can you all imagine a trial and how it affects us every single day? Yes. Okay. So, the kitchen is your sanctuary, is how you have to look at this. The heart of the home, that is what the kitchen is. It's a sanctuary where we connect and we express gratitude and honor for the things that God has blessed us with. So being mindful in preparation, while you're seasoning, mixing, flipping, turning, baking, think about every single thing that you're doing and how is it glorifying what God has given you, whether it was given to you, you purchased it, or you found it, but it's being able to nourish your body. Be mindful of that. Second, being intentional with your choices on what you're eating. Those choices literally either fuel you or break you in some form, even when you're not thinking about it. We as a Black and brown community have the highest rates of so many health issues: heart failure, breast cancer, colon cancer, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. That's because of the way that we eat, because we're no longer mindful of protecting the temple that God has given each and every one of us. And then being sacred with your ritual in the kitchen. So I have a ritual, and my best friend and I were just talking about the other day, is every single Sunday after I get out of church, I go grocery shopping and I pick up a batch of flowers. It's a thing for me. I'm such a nature girl. You can call me a tree hugger, whatever. I definitely ground myself in nature as much as I can, to the point, like, I wake up, first thing I do is I'm looking for sunlight. But when I get those flowers, I come home, clean out my refrigerator, I rearrange my flowers with a little bit of scented candle and my music that I'm listening to, whether it's jazz or gospel or whatever it is that I'm just feeling in the mood with. And I take the time and I'm mindful and intentional about rearranging something that places me in God's presence and centers me before I get ready to meal prep and fill my fridge up with the wonderful groceries that God has blessed me with. Are y'all understanding how it is that you're being mindful and intentional about everything that God is giving you to nourish your body is for a reason, right? Yes. So again, faith in the kitchen is not just about what you cook, it's about how you cook it, right? So I don't know how many of you guys really enjoy to cook versus not so much. She was like, not me. I caught that out the side of my eye. I love to cook, clearly, as a chef, but for me, I love to cook for the ones that I love the most, right? But I cook with intention and in gratitude in everything that I do. I do it with a smile, I do it with love in my heart, because God's given me an amazing gift to be able to serve others with it. So you want to make sure that you're purchasing the right foods. How many of you know that you should be shopping the outside of the outside aisles of the grocery store? Raise your hands. Hey, let me just give you a high five. All right, there we go. Everything that God has created for you, within a pinch of things, is on the outside aisles. Everything. Your produce, that's your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, your seafood, your grains, your roots, your herbs, spices, all of it's on the outside. Now, when we're lazy, we go on the insides. But despite popular demand, it is still cheaper to shop the outside of your aisles than the inside. And a lot of times people also are like, oh, well, it takes longer. I promise you, there isn't a meal that I don't teach someone how to cook, that you can't learn how to cook in the oven and not on the stove. Jew, how often do you see me cook on top of a stove? I literally, like, everything goes in the oven. Rices, I can still cook in the oven, but it's a little quicker to cook them on top of the stove. But there's ways to nourish your body and be intentional about what you're shopping, how you're cooking, and nourishing your body and the temple that God has given you. Purity in choices equal mindful nutrition. Be empowered when you eat. So one of the things that I like to tell people when they're talking about the top of the year, cleansing or dieting or dang you fast, there's nothing wrong with any of it, right? Within reason. But you want to be super intentional again about what you're putting in your body. Your body at times needs rest. The same way that if you don't get 4 hours or better, depending on your age range, you're groggy, you're irritable, maybe you want to snack a little bit more because you're lacking rest, right? So your body inside needs the exact same thing. It needs rest sometimes. Your digestive system truly needs rest, especially if you eat red meat specifically, chicken, turkey, fish. Your body needs the rest. So I created something called Juice the Rainbow. And it's a cold pressed juice cleanse, and that cold pressed juice cleanse has intentionality to it. It's making sure that we're putting every color of the rainbow into your body that God has created. I know that we've all heard enough times, God created color, eat a little bit of color. It's really true. It's really important. By doing that, you're giving your body not only the energy it needs, the oxidation that it needs, the reset that it needs. So every last one of my cold pressed juices embody a different color that you take all day long. Right? Do you guys see yourself in any of the things that I'm talking about? Do you see the challenges that you may have? Do you see the areas that you are doing amazing in out of any of the things that I've already talked about? I love that. It's about understanding. It's about knowing the why. It's about being intentional. It's about being mindful, right? So again, we already talked a little bit about understanding nutrition, but I want to give you guys a little bit of practical nutrition tips before you leave, because that's always going to be important. So again, we're going to talk about mindful eating. Meal planning or prepping is like a big thing. That doesn't mean you have to meal plan or prep for the entire week. I do it a day. I wake up in the morning and I prep my breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for the day. I can't eat the same thing every day. It doesn't work for my life. But if that does, then you'll have a simple life. But knowing what you're going to eat throughout a course of a day or throughout the course of the week not only saves you time, it saves you money, because you're not going in a grocery store picking up a bunch of random things, as well as it's making sure that you're being mindful about how you nourish the temple that God has given you. Staying hydrated. Now, most people think hydration means water. It's not just water. And I think I not learned it, but understood it the most because I travel a lot internationally. Majority of restaurants or bars or corner stores in other countries do not sell water first. They sell electrolytes first. So whatever those electrolytes look like to you, some of them are healthy in America, some of them are not so much. Gatorade, Powerade, Body Armor, LMNT, which is one of my current sponsors. Making sure, or citrus waters, those are things that naturally hydrate your body with proper electrolytes. Incorporating whole foods, again, those are the things that you get on the outside aisles of your grocery store. Those are your whole foods, not going to Whole Foods. Moderation is key. If you're eating 3 consistent meals a day at bare minimum, you really should be taking in 5 to 6. I know that sounds like a lot, but if your portions are small, which a whole plate each meal should literally be the palm of your hand. Not, just your vegetables or just your protein or just your carbs. Your whole meal 5 to 6 times a day should fit in the palm of your hand. That is one of the biggest ways to lose weight, but we're not taught that. And I say that only because that's usually the thing everyone wants to know when they talk to me is, how do I lose weight? But it's the proper way to fuel your body. It make sure that your insulin levels are not spiking and then coming back down, which causes diabetes, which causes headaches, which causes the fat to go around our midsections and a host of other things. So moderation is a huge thing. Substitute, do not dismiss. If your doctors are telling you to stop something, ask them what it is that they can substitute it with. There's always a substitution. If you're craving sweets, primarily sugar, you're lacking magnesium, eat some celery. If you want to add peanut butter, ranch, blue cheese, that's your business. Just add celery, because it's going to give you some of that magnesium that you're back, and it's going to help minimize that craving for that chocolate. Always substitute, do not dismiss. And then getting sleep. I touched on it really quickly before, or I flew past it a little bit. Sleep is key when it comes to your nutrition. Not only because it helps your body digest, but it also ensures that you don't snack as heavy. So if you get 8 hours of sleep and your normal snacking habit is like maybe 2 snacks in a day, that's cool. Now you only got 6 hours of sleep. Do you know that because you got 2 hours less of sleep, now you're going to be more likely to snack an extra additional hour or add an additional snack because you've gotten less sleep? Sleep. Don't miss out on it. So, although I gave you guys a lot of great tips, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence and not offering you guys any of the products I have, obviously. One of my biggest things that I really push is my journal. And the reason for it is because God told me very specifically to put certain things in this journal. How do I know that? Because again, I went to Belhaven University, and the way that we're taught to be, or the way that we're educated is to apply every biblical sense into our everyday lives. And although we hear our ministers, our pastors, our prophets, or whomever it is that you are paying attention to in the physical form say this, but we really have a hard time implementing this. When I tell you that anytime my phone rings or get a text message, God, make sure that I pay attention to this if I'm supposed to, or if not, just let me be diverted another way. This is my normal everyday process of thinking. I don't say it out loud. It's a conversation between me and God. But because I know this, other people don't understand the value of words, God's word, and then implement it in your everyday life. So every 2 weeks, I have taken the words that God has given me throughout the course of the year, and I've given you not only what this definition of the word is from a dictionary standpoint, from a biblical standpoint, there's recipes that match that, whether it's for clarity, what foods or recipes will help give you the additional clarity. And there's Bible verses every single day for those 2 weeks for you to focus on to help you get acquainted with that word and how that word will now be applied to your life. On top of that, the recipes, you also have daily journaling as prompts. So are you moving? Are you getting sunlight? Are you praying? Are you being mindful of your stretching? How was the weather? How was your mood? So you can be able to track these things in, are you waking up in the morning talking to God versus I'm not, and this is what my mood looks like, and this is how my day goes throughout it. And hopefully I would love to work with any one of you. I specialize not so much in the weight loss aspect, although I can make sure that you would be confident in losing up to 20 pounds by working with me over a course of 8 weeks. But it's more about, I love working with people who have medical issues or know their why. I have an actual degree. I'm not just certified. That is what I went to school for, outside of just business management, so that way I know how to work with others. And I also, at one point in time, was on my way to being a doctor. So I have a pretty vast knowledge when it comes to medical history. So again, my name is Chef Lee. I am a nutritionist, celebrity chef, motivational speaker, faith-based solo traveler, and author. And feel free to follow me or come and check me out before the end of your stay.